Hey everybody, welcome back. This video marks the first in a two-part series where I conduct a full score analysis of American football's song, The Summer Ends. Meaning in this video I'll do a deep dive into the song's harmony and melody, and in part 2 I'll analyze the song's form/compositional structure. Moreover, this video will be a little different than my previous analysis videos, as I'll be analyzing the entire song rather than just a single section. However, my analysis today will be limited to the harmony and melody producing instruments, meaning just guitar and trumpet. Without further ado then, let's get started. To kick things off, as said before, we're discussing harmony and melody, meaning we'll be looking at chord progression content, melodic lines, and chord voicings, or the way that chords are spelt. Furthermore, as a rough guide, we'll be doing this in 3 segments, each used to represent a different section in the song. And for now, we'll refer to those as A, B, and C, but in part 2 of this series, we'll get into greater detail about the structure. So let's start by listening to the main harmonic content of the A section, and we'll broadly characterize this as everything from the start of the song until the end of the first section with vocals. And what you're about to hear is some ugly MIDI, but try and ignore that and focus on the note choices. So this song is in E major, and let's begin by looking at the main line, which is played by guitar 1, as it's present throughout most of the song, and it more or less defines the underlying harmony. Also in this context, I'm going to analyze it in combination with guitar 2's part, and both lines can be combined and described by 2 chords, an A major 7 chord and an E major 7 chord. So the A major 9 chord makes up this section here. And we've got the notes A, B, E, F sharp, and G sharp. Furthermore, this A chord is missing the 3rd, C sharp, but I think that the relationship between the root and 7th, or A and G sharp, is strong enough that it makes me want to hear this A major 9 sound. Though if you wanted, you could actually analyze this passage right here as an F sharp minor 11 no 5 sound, but to me, the F sharp, which occurs in the offbeat right here, is quite fleeting, and it doesn't really have the same presence as the A note, which is constantly reinforced. So to me, the F sharp is more of a passing tone rather than the root of this F sharp minor 11 structure. Anyways, for the next segment of notes in the A section's main line, we have a descending second inversion E triad, and on the back half of the line, we have a D sharp note right here. So if we put these together and hear it in context, it sounds like an E major 7 chord to me. And if you listen to the root motion as well, you can hear this chord being shifted from E over B to E over G sharp to E major 7 over G sharp. All in all then, this line is a 4 to 1 progression. So let's listen to the whole thing one more time. Moving on, there are a few small variations that occur over the main line's part. Now, they don't really change the harmony, but they're still worth noting. Our first variation sounds like this, and it occurs on the 4th measure of an alternating cycle of phrases organized by the intro's trumpet line. So harmonically, this line adds a bit of new content, adding a 3rd to the A major 9 chord and a 9 plus 13 to the E major 7 sound. As for the second variation occurring over the main line, this occurs quite a bit later in the song during the first vocal passage. And this variation also reinforces the harmony of the main line by highlighting some color tones. So with that being said, let's listen to that line as well. Okay, if we quickly scan the note content, we can see that this line highlights the 7th and 9th of A major 9, and it also contains the 5th, 6th, and 7th of the E major 7 chord. All in all then, we could say that both variations of the main line are very much inside the harmony. Next up, let's take a look at the trumpet solo, as this adds a lot of harmony and flavor to the song. Starting with the scales, we have the sounds of E Lydian, A Lydian, and E major or E Ionian. Also, you might have noticed that the trumpet part is notated differently than it sounds. This occurs as trumpets are a transposing instrument, meaning the sound is different than the notation. Trumpets sound a whole step lower than they are notated. So for this first pitch, B sharp or C, this actually produces the sound of a B flat or an A sharp note. Anyways, because of the usage of different scales other than, say, Ionian, the harmonies here are actually a little adventurous for the style. Looking at our very first note in the solo, we have an A sharp, and this occurs against the notes of B and E in the main line, creating an E Lydian harmony. Here the A sharp acts as the sharp 4 or sharp 11 of the E chord, creating that color. Moving on, the next note is the 5th of E, and then we have the 3rd. And then in the next measure here, we have the 7th of A as the first note. And then we have the 7th, 9th root, and 5th of an E chord, followed by the 9th of A, the root, and then the 3rd of an E chord. So for these two measures right here, we have the E major scale as the main content. So for the next few bars, we have basically a repeat of the first few measures of the trumpet solo. And we begin again with the sharp 11 over top of the E. And then we have the 5th and the 3rd. Then we have the 7th of A, followed again by the 7th, 9th root, and 5th of the E chord. And then we get the variations. So we have a 9th and 7th of A, and then we have the 3rd of an E chord. And following this, we start to introduce some A Lydian scale content. So this 8th note run here starts with the 5th, then the sharp 11, which is a D sharp note, and then we have the 9th, the 3rd, and the 9th. And so these all play over top of the A chord here, giving us that A Lydian sound. And then for the E chord, we have the 3rd, the root, the 9th, the 3rd, the root, the 7th, and the 13th. And then we have a small pause here, and the trumpet comes back in, and we have this half note over top of the A again, which is the sharp 11th. So this is once again D sharp over the A major 9 chord. And then we have a 13, a 7, then we have a 3rd, a 13, and a 9, and then the solo ends. All right, so that's the harmony of the solo, and here are a few things that stand out to me. The first of which is that the note choices are pretty inside the chords. So we saw a lot of 3rds, 7ths, and 9ths, and that's pretty standard jazz arranging fanfare, but it's important to know if you want to get that kind of sound. Also, the truly wonderful moment of this solo is definitely in the modal inflections. So we heard a lot of those modal sounds, and I think that's really what makes this solo sound so cool and interesting. With all that out of the way, let's move on now to looking at the B section, or the second half of the song. So unlike the A section, which had pretty dynamic harmony coming from the trumpet solo, the A section is completely static, with the harmony being based around 4, A major 9, or if you hear the F sharp as the root, then an F sharp minor 11, note 5. Also, this section has two presentations or subsections. For the first subsection, we have 12 measures of 3/4, and motivic material is taken from the main line and repeated. So specifically, it's these 3 notes here. These are taken and repeated, creating an ostinato. So let's take a listen to that in context. With regards to our analysis, the only harmonic variations occurring here are the sparse lead lines played by guitar 2. And looking at how they relate chord tone-wise, we have a line that plays the 9th of A with a note B. Then we have a G sharp, which is the 7th, which falls to the 6th. And then finally to the 5th, the chord, which is E. For the second subsection, guitar 1 continues to play, repeating ostinato, while guitar 2 introduces a minimal line which just floats over top. And this line basically consists of 2 arpeggios. So we could say that this first arpeggio is kind of like a C sharp minor 7, or we could say it's the 3rd, 5th, and 9th of A. And then we could say that the second line is the 5th and the 7th of A. And following that, the second guitar will proceed to ring out a couple of these big A major 9 over E chords. And this sequence cycles 2 times over as we head into the final section, which is essentially an outro. So before we move on then, let's listen to this in context. For this outro part, this is once again based on the harmony of 1 and 4, but what's interesting here is that the harmony is flipped. So instead of being a 4-to-1 progression in the main line, we now have a 1-to-4 progression. For our first arpeggio, we have an E over G sharp chord, and this is followed by an A major 9 chord. So these just cycle, and there's not really a whole ton to say about that. And then the song ends on this E major 7 chord. So all in all then, this section is really simple. It's just a whole lot of 1 and 4. And with that being said, let's move on now to taking a look at some quick conclusions to see what we've learned from studying the harmony of The Summer Ends. Overall, just like in the other emo songs I've explored, the harmony here leads with the 4 chord. Moreover, the harmony is really simple, as we saw that the song uses just 2 chords, A and E, and any changes to the harmony will come in the form of upper extensions, creating things like 9s or 7s, or through the use of inversions, which will change the root motion, and finally through modal inflections that were found in the trumpet solo. For example, the sharp 4 creating a Lydian sound. That being said, I think a huge part of what makes this song tick is actually the ambiguity between this A major 9 sound and this F sharp minor 11 no 5 sound. To me, there's a bit of extra tension and darkness coming from this F sharp against the A, and perhaps this is what gives the song its powerful emotional character. Anyways, the harmony is just one aspect of this song, so tune in next week as I'll go through the song's form, arrangement / compositional elements, as there's a lot of really nice subtle detail, and I think that these, in combination with the harmony, really help to make this a great piece. Alright folks, so there you have it. If you like this video, then please make sure to like, share, and subscribe as I put out a new video every single week. And if you want to support the channel, then please consider checking out my Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you guys will have access to some bonus content like guitar tabs, lesson notes, chord diagrams, and other little goodies like that. And honestly, the Patreon page really helps me out, and it allows me to get some extra equipment to make these videos better. Finally, I also teach lessons through Skype. There's a link to my email address in the description below. So thank you all for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.